Fire, fire,
They were fired, the ones that refused to work. I don't know. I don't know anything. Like, it just says Hoyoverse just got destroyed English voice actors. English voice actors got replaced. What's Hoyo? The company that is in charge of Genshin Impact. We'll see though. Let's see. I'll watch it. I like keeping up into the loop of the funnies.
Guys, we've got another update in the VA situation, and this one is definitely a pretty big, pretty crazy one. So we're here on Hoyo Lab version 1.7. Bear your tears for the past update details, and in this update,
Zenless Zone Zero
for Zenless Zone Zero, that of course being a Hoyoverse game, number of these VAs have been replaced. Interestingly enough, taking a look at those VAs, it seems like they were indeed promoting the strike.
Calm a fanboy, man.
I'm not saying that is definitively why they got replaced. I'm simply saying that that is additional context. But before we talk about that, guys, we've got to address the controversy that's going on right here on this channel, the feet comment controversy. Because yesterday I got this comment that says, like to make Hirai post his IRL femboy feet. Comment to make Hirai post his VTuber feet. And I was like,
feet, fanboy feet. Is he femboy, chat? Does anybody know the lore? I don't want to call someone a femboy. What if he's not a femboy?
Bro really posted
this.
They're
just bullying him.
Cook him, chat.
Cook him, chat.
You guys know what happened? You didn't cook him. You freaking were like, a lot of you guys were liking his comment and were like supporting his comment. What kind of backup is that? Look at this. I'm doing my part. Let him cook. Someone go make it, please. He has a point. Hirai, this isn't going well for you.
He's actually gay. I will ask him and confirm.
What I'm not doing is deleting comments. So let me address that right now. Get this controversy out of the way. Because look at this. If you sort by top comments, it says replies 53. But then if you sort by newest first, it goes all the way up to 72 replies. So some people may think like
weird.
They left a comment and they can't see it. And I'm like hiding the comment or something. But no, it's like something weird with the YouTube guys.
Yeah, YouTube does that, chat. Chill.
72.
If you ever see your comments not popping up, sometimes YouTube filters them. I do not touch my YouTube. Just for the record, I am going on record. I don't delete comments. I don't do anything like that. It's YouTube's filter, and YouTube's filter's kind of fucking strict. I don't fucking do anything. I don't even read comments. I'm gonna be completely honest. I might read a few here and there, but I don't read them every day and go out of my way. I get like thousands of comments a day on average.
I am completely innocent. That said, I guess you guys have spoken, and I'll see what I can do about the VTuber feet thing, but like, what kind of artist could I even find to do something like that?
Can you turn up the video? No, I can't, chat. No, it's at max. Look, see, it's max volume. What if I use the, hold on, what if I use the thingy? I'll turn it up. Tell me if it's louder.
Like, that
it's
probably
a bit
doesn't even
louder.
exist.
It's louder
but
now.
If by any chance it is possible, I will post not on my main account, not on main, definitely not on main, but I made a new VTuber Twitter account, so consider following that for just like general stuff, like VTuber stuff, and then maybe also that other stuff that people were talking about. Anyways, on to the main topic. Oh, I did forget to mention, I'll have that in the pinned comment for today. Now, really on to the main topic. So back over on Hoyo Lab, check this part out, specifically for patch 1.7, adjustments and optimizations, where they say, changes the English voice actors for agents Kalinda, Grace, and Rena, and replaces the corresponding voice lines. We can see some duality in the immediate responses. For example, this user saying, return all the original VAs and apologize.
You think these corpos give a fuck about you? Look, I'm sorry. I worked for a corpo. I did. It sucked. You fight against them, they'll fucking fire you and replace you. You think they don't have a dozen people lined up that sound like those people?
Collective action is a fundamental human right. Response is reading, you could still delete this, and the VAs are at fault. They decided not to work, so... Hoyoverse has given these people so much time to either present them agreeable terms that don't involve screwing over the non-union talent that are also working on their games, or to simply return to work. So let's check this out, as mentioned, get some more information on the involvement that these people may or may not have with the strike/collective work refusal against Hoyoverse. So here's the VA for Kalota. And just scrolling a little bit, we can see, let's see here, gaming awards. Okay, that's not the SAG-AFTRA thing.
Gaming.
Scrolling a little bit more, we can see.
I don't know why, but it's funny when like gay people use gaming as like an award thing or like as a title. It's just funny to me. Fucking gaming.
Yes! That Katie Cofield here retweeted Koi Dao saying, "This is not a union actor versus non-union actor conflict. The goal of the strike is to ensure that this craft isn't lost to AI. We've got a common goal, which is why so many non-union actors are holding the line alongside their union castmates, despite having no obligation to do so." Well, I wouldn't say so many. It seems like some have. The obligation is, as these people have already made very clear, a social obligation. If they go against the strike and these other VAs, then they're going to get harassed on Twitter or potentially blacklisted, as we saw Shara Kirby talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Another one similarly saying, also retweeted by Katie Cofield, of course, "Guys, if a non-union game were to flip union, no non-union actors would not be fired." More details in quoted thread, but basically...
No non-union actors would not be fired. That's not what I've read, but okay.
Non-union actors can work on union video games. While, yes, of course, misinformation can spread on Reddit as it can anywhere, the fact is a lot of these VAs have also been spreading misinformation, and much of it intentionally misleading and manipulative. As for the non-union actor part, well, this goes back to what we were discussing from Joe Zeech's video, where these non-union actors would essentially have to beg SAG.
Yo, Kagu, what's up? Yo, thank you for the raid. What's up? How's it going on? How's it going? Have you rated us before? Yo, I appreciate you so much, man. No, Kagu has never rated us before. I don't think so. Greet, hi. We're watching the Zenless Zone Zero actors getting upset because they got fired from their corpo borpo job. That doesn't give a frick about them. I hope you had a fantastic stream. They got fired? Yeah, apparently so. We're trying to find out why exactly. So that's what the video's about. Yeah. Thank you so much, though. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the follows.
Not to terminate them and replace them with union talent. And as we've discussed many times, and as you guys know, based off the statements made by SAG executives, based on the policies on their own website, and the disparaging remarks of many of their members on social media, we can't reasonably expect that they're going to treat the non-union actors well. As a matter of fact, the reasonable conclusion is the inverse, that they wouldn't. Katie Cofield had also retweeted some other damage control stuff. As you can see, this is all from like back on March 19th, March 14th, and also the ones we read were like March 26th and respectively also March 26th. This is all stuff that has been refuted time and time again since then. This is like a month later, just giving you context as mentioned as to what you might consider their involvement or their stance, right? This sort of thing. On to the next VA, that being Chelsea Kwoka, VA for Grace Howard in Zenless Zone Zero and Shenhe in Genshin Impact. Although it seems like that may no longer be the case. We seem to know that already for ZZZ, but we'll see what happens with Genshin.
Does Zenless, wait, does Hoyoverse own Zenless Zone Zero as well or not? I don't know. I don't play gacha games. Yes. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I can see where they might think they're gonna get fired from that too. Yeah, I don't know. ZZZ, Genshin, Star Rail are all Hoyo games. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I don't play, so it's just like basic level of understanding for me.
And scrolling, let's see if there's anything about the SAG-AFTRA stuff. Oh my
separate.
Gosh. This one was especially interesting. This is the one where Inaris, another VA, had made a tweet that is no longer available because I think she deleted it. Pretty sure that's what happened. But that was the one which, you know what, I'll just go find it and like edit together. Give me 1 second. There we go. This one where Inaris said, "Hey, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, ZZZEN. We English VAs would love to get back to work. I know the fans miss hearing their favorite Karas, and we miss voicing them. Please negotiate with SAG-AFTRA and sign the interim agreement to guarantee AI protections for us."
Do you know why Amazon doesn't have strikes all the fucking time over workers? Like, I've seen Amazon strikes for their workers for like better working conditions. But do you know why that doesn't happen too often? Because they can literally replace them like in 2 seconds. I know, it's not fair. I don't agree that they should just be able to be replaced like that, but that is the reality we're living in, and that's why I hate corpos. Because it's easy to replace them.
Which the official Twitter account for SAG-AFTRA said,
want.
what Anaris said. Genshin Impact Honkai Star Rail ZZN will make it easy for you. Here's a link to our interactive video game media agreements. Let's talk soon. Wink. This, of course, being especially interesting given the information that was provided from Joe Zege's video, in which it sounds like the collective work refusal from these VAs is not an official strike through SAG-AFTRA, but then here was SAG-AFTRA trying to put some public social pressure on Hoyoverse to sign that agreement. And let me point something else out here. This is something I probably should have mentioned in prior videos. Totally my bad for not doing this. But when you click that link, it takes you to a page on SAG-AFTRA that leads you to 2 other links that show agreements. But those agreements are sample agreements.
Yeah, and also you have to pay. Must have a total production budget under $30 million. So if you make over that, ooh, big problem.
So I
remember we talked about this on stream very briefly, not to this extent, but yeah.
I think it works like that. I don't think a Hoyoverse.
This is what they make you sign.
Excuse me, you can just like click that and like sign it. Oh, there you go. It's so easy. Like, no, first of all, they're sample agreements, and second, we don't know that those are the actual agreements being presented to Hoyoverse either.
True.
Because again, it's all just samples. This is just another example of how to.
Usually, what happens is the lawyers between each other talk between SAFTA or whatever it's called and Hoyo, and they make amendments. It is not always a 1-to-1. It's just what they want on their side. It 90% of the time it never comes out to whatever it is on the other end, what they agree to, and that's why they have to do this.
The public
negotiate.
That group of VAs and SAG-AFTRA are trying to make it look like, oh, it's so easy. We're just barely asking for anything. You know, just sign this Hoyoverse. It's so simple. But in reality, it really doesn't seem to be as simple as they're trying to let on to the public. Okay, so we've taken a look at 2 of the VA's Twitter accounts who were seemingly let go from Hoyoverse's Zenless Zone 0. We've got one more to take a look at, but before we do, on the note that I just mentioned regarding the whole SAG-AFTRA thing, we've actually got to take a look over on Blue Sky because Little Kribo made a post that I think would make for a perfect segue real quick. Earlier today, Little Kribo had this to say. Actors saying, quote, this strike is about AI protections, unquote, never meant that it was exclusively about that. Fans seem to have decided they were lied to regardless. Wow, what a change of the tune here, huh? Yes, indeed, a lot of these VAs were saying that the strike is just about AI protections, and the ones that were not outright saying it were certainly implying it. But since the fandoms have been looking into all this stuff more thoroughly, and we...
Yeah, they kind of Trojan horse the... Do you know who else kind of does this kind of thing? Politicians. I don't want to make a 1-to-1 to this, obviously it's 2 different things, but it's a very, very common tactic of basically having a massive stack of papers, and in one of them is like something that's good, and then everything else nobody else reads, and there's like a million other things that they want to do that the people might not agree with, but the actual movement itself is about the whole AI protection agreement.
That we've been getting
or whatever. Whatever.
Oh, now suddenly they're
fits.
saying, guys, the strike was never just about AI protections. It was never exclusively about that. Yeah, okay, bro. But it's really funny how Little Kribo doesn't seem to be directly involved with this situation. He just continues to interject himself into it over and over again. And it's like consistently, in my opinion at least, making it worse for that side. Like, you gotta wonder, is bro a sleeper cell? Is this just
sleeper cell?
Is this some like 4D chess he's trying to pull here or something for Hoyoverse? Is this like a secret Hoyoverse agent? I'm kidding. Surely not the case, but it is pretty funny. I think I saw some people saying the same thing about Paimon's VA too, Karina. Like, you gotta wonder about these people sometimes, man. That's how bad their points are. Okay, so we had previously left off on the Twitter account for Chelsea Cuoca, the VA or previous VA for Grace Howard, and how she was retweeting SAG-AFTRA's like signal boosting of Anaris's now deleted tweet, trying to get Hoyoverse to making a public tweet at Hoyoverse, trying to get them to sign this agreement. Okay, there we go. Better phrasing. And also had retweeted Koi Dao, we can see here. Once again, something else from like back in late March that had been thoroughly refuted by the fandoms. So we've seen how Katie Cofield was retweeting this sort of stuff. Chelsea Cuoca was retweeting this sort of stuff. And now that takes us over to Crystal Lee, the 3rd VA from the patch notes for ZZZ, who seems to be getting replaced. You can see also the VA.
Yeah, she's in Genshin again.
Clorin, once again, my bad for the mispronunciation. Please correct me in the comments. Hopefully I can remember it though. And let's see if there's any sort of...
Doesn't Hoyo already do AI protections? I remember someone saying that because Hoyo is a Chinese-based company, that they already have AI protections, because in China and Korea and Japan, there are serious AI protections in place that America does not. I don't know how that works in the grand scheme of things, but that's just like a statement that I read.
Similar stuff going on with this account. Well, yes, indeed. There is a retweet of that same Koi Dao thread. Some of the other retweets we saw earlier were not the first tweet in the thread, but like other follow-up posts from Koi. Anything else here? Let's see. Back on March 26th. Oh, this is an interesting one. Wow. So retweeted John Patton-Wad, specifically retweeting Courtney Lin, who seems to be another VA there with Atlas. Who had retweeted John Patton-Wad. This being the statement John Patton-Wad had made, I believe, after Jacob Takanashi's statement as replacing him for the role of Kenichi. Courtney Lin had said, sending all the support to John. He is a class act and wonderful actor. Actors deserve AI protections. Bro, minutes after reading the the Blue Sky post from Little Kribo, who was all like, actors were never saying it was just AI protections. We have a perfect example of how they were framing it as just that. We've had so many examples of this, of course, but here's another one. What perfect timing that is. Oh my gosh, dude. Unbelievable. The best.
What kills me about this whole thing is that they're all just ripping each other apart and making the movement look worse. I said this in the other video too that we looked at. The biggest voice actors, if they weren't so outspoken about this, I don't think people would have honestly just cared that much. Hirohei wouldn't be farming this for content because it would have flown under the radar, to be honest.
Best way to support real actors in jobs. Is that like a slight at Jacob Takanashi, by the way, like that framing? The best way to support real actors in jobs, okay, is to let the dev companies know, and also don't take actions that would undermine strike efforts. That definitely, in my opinion, seems like a jab at...
Yeah, it is a jab, even though it doesn't directly name the guy that took the job.
Jacob Takanashi.
Don't
and also like non-union actors in general, because this has been rhetoric
efforts.
from SAG. Like they literally have a page on their website talking about how the union actors are better than those.
Suddenly, if all VTubers started striking against Twitch, and then there was VTubers that don't know anything about it, and they said, "Hey, I need to make money. I'm not part of your group or your clique." This is basically what's happening. If those VTubers got bullied and got death threats for all the people that support the main VTubers, this is like a hypothetical. This would not happen. I'm just saying. This is what would happen. It's really cliquey, it's petty, and then also, the funniest thing is that VTubers don't have this mafia that they have to pay into every year to be a VTuber. It's just like, oh my god, this is so convoluted. Like, you'd be called a traitor, turn off your stream, stop VTubing, you gotta stand for our, like, effort.
Totally non-union actors.
So weird.
Oh my gosh. Scrolling slightly further, we can see that Crystal Lee had also retweeted this damage control tweet from Ashley Biskey. And I've only scrolled for like seconds, probably less than a minute on each of these three VAs Twitter accounts, but I think I've seen plenty to, at least in my opinion, come to a reasonable assessment of where they probably stand on all this stuff. Of course, the three VAs I'm referring to being the ones that seem to be getting replaced on Zenless Zone 0. Now, once again, I'm not saying why they got replaced. I just decided to take a look into some more context on what may be a possible reason. Potentially, maybe Hoyoverse is getting sick of dealing with this strike or collective work refusal, however you want to put it. Who knows for sure, but it is certainly an interesting update in what seems to be the still ongoing situation.
They still didn't say why.
Right around 1 month now since John Patton-Wad was replaced in the role of Kenichi by VA Jacob Takanashi. So let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments. Hope you enjoyed my coverage. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing. Appreciate ya, and I'll see you in the next one.
I don't know, man. I think it's all weird. I understand why they're striking, but it's like, it's just so... They shouldn't expect a massive, gigantic conglomerate like Hoyoverse to actually give a fuck. What's more is that the more they do it, the more they push Corp to use AI. Yeah, I don't know. It gets into the whole dynamic of like, the people need to have a voice, the people need to have power, technology's moving too fast, the government's not doing much about it, there's governments in the universe that do more, and then some people say that it's totalitarian. Like, you're getting into like this whole, like, if you start digging deep enough into this, it always turns back into politics. You make up your own mind about this. I think it's a difficult topic to unpack in the first place. Because, like, on one hand, yeah, sure, I think that everybody has the right to have a job, but then at the same time, we're living in a universe where it's kind of like you can't really have that, and then we have Amazon, and we have, you know, video game makers that use AI to cut corners because it's also very time consuming, and the customers want more and more product. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start getting into it and it's like all a fantastical, like, you gotta lay that shit out, you know? It's weird how SAG kind of wants more people to join a non-project union and they try to force it to become union by not working anymore. Yeah, well, then what choice do they have? It's like, do we halt everything and then do we give people more power to not work because of that? It's like, I don't know. Not my fucking problem, but it's interesting to think about in that way, huh?
For you.